Look at this amazing thing. But what does Texas original steakhouse sauce and a bottle of oil has to do with this? Welcome to Naval Tick Tinker. This episode is going to be a bit special. What you see behind me is a 4-axis CNC foam cutter. I don't think there's many of them. There are some, of course, around the world, but not. This is not a machine that you would usually see. So, what is this episode about? Well, it turns out that if you look at RC Test Flight and all these crazy guys on YouTube who do these great projects, they seem to be into two things. One is RC and boats, and one is, well, anything that flies. And turns out that I also got bitten from that, probably from watching too many YouTube videos, like probably you have too. And yeah, so about 1.5 years ago, I decided that I was also going to become a pilot. So not a small drone pilot, but a real pilot. And I wanted to take a light sport pilot license because it only requires like 25 hours minimum in the air, and it's much cheaper. It's like, I don't know, 6,000 US dollars in Sweden, roughly. So I started that, and during ground school, where you study a lot of theory, I really got bitten by the theory, all the techiness and all the fun things about, what makes an airplane fly, because there's, like with boats, there's a lot of aerodynamics to it. So it's really, really interesting. And when I got bitten with that, of course, just continued studying and flying. I'm actually flying solo nowadays, so that's really cool. I did that a few weeks ago the first time, so I'm getting close to getting my pilot's license. I also got really, really bitten on reading more about airplane design. So I've been reading more than a few books, like everything from composites, how you build airplanes, to simplified aircraft design for home builders. I have more than a few books, I can tell you, that I've read through. Math heavy as hell if you haven't been to uni for like 20 years. Yeah, it was, I had to brush up a lot, and I still am actually. Anyways, so what I want to show you now is where I'm going next. So this is me at my flight school, and this is the Sila 450 that I'm flying together with my teacher, or actually now also flying alone with my instructor's great supervision. And when you think about it, it's pretty cramped. I don't know if you can see it, but in there, it feels like a little bit like a small metal can that you're sitting inside. The speed of this one is about 100 knots, 125 miles per hour, or in the rest of the world, where we actually have real units, we do about 200 kilometers an hour. And that's pretty fast, because if you take yourself from point A to point B, in 200 kilometers per hour, then you're actually, you're more than doubling. If I go from here to Germany, it takes like, I don't know, let me just think. Yeah, I think it's roughly 2.5 to 3 hours, something like that. And if I take the car, I could easily do it. It would take like 12 hours at least from here, because there's so many obstacles in the way that, ferries and stuff like that it takes forever. So I want speed, I want space, when you start dreaming about these airplanes, you see all these amazing designs, you start thinking, what's possible? But it turns out that most light sport, they do pretty much something like this. A little bit faster, some of them, a little bit more range. This one, I guess, could be up for it takes about 12 liters per hour, which is quite low, 12 to 14, and it has a 100-liter tank. But yeah, usually, you can get quite far in this one if you want to. But you can't have any luggage, literally. There's nothing behind here. It's just you and a friend, and maybe a little bit behind. And you start looking at what's out there, and you start listening to these guys who's been doing this for like 50, 60 years. And I found something that I think is amazing. It's this one. It's the Ferris Day-2. There is only one in the world. It's a low aspect ratio airplane. So the wingspan here from tip to tip is only like 5 meters something, 5.4 I think it is. And that makes that when you drive really fast, the drag that you get, so when this airplane is trying to push through the air and it meets all these particles hitting it, and the drag gets reduced because you just have so much less wing surface, so much less surface that is not surface, but I mean the shape of the airplane. You have so many less particles that just hits it. So it goes really fast, like 240. That's still like 20% up. And I mean, when you're doing long range, this is really amazing. And also the range is like, I think 1800 kilometers. So it's like you could go from Spain to Sweden with this one. And what's also even more amazing is that the cabin space in here, if you look here, it's really, really large. It's really, really cool. And this is built by Verhees, and he has his own company. So if you're interested in starting to build one of these, there is plans for sale. But I started thinking, could this be done even cooler? Because there are a few ones that looks like these in the world, just a few. They've never really caught on, and there's good reasons for that. But I think some of these things could be improved on. For example, we could switch the quite reliable Rotax engine that we have in the front here to diesel. And we would immediately get a huge bump in range and efficiency. Like if my airplane takes, 12, more closer to 14 liters per hour, then I think the diesel could probably push it down to 9 or 10 even. And that the reason I'm looking into this is that in Europe we have an airplane called the Gazelle 2. And in that airplane, they have this converted Peugeot engine that they have. I think there's like 60 or 70 of them built by now, and even hundreds of plans sold. And yeah, what they have is an amazing airplane that I think they have like 7 liters per hour with that airplane. I think this is less efficient, so it will do a little bit more. But getting under 10 liters per hour while you're traveling at speeds at 240 kilometers per hour, that's just mind-blowing. You can kind of see a different render here. And if you don't think that looks cool, I don't know what. I think that looks like the best. So I'm taking a video here with my camera. Maybe I should do a screenshot, but if we just look at it, it has a wingspan of 5.4 meters. Let's see if I can get it closer. We can see that it has a length of 4.7. It has empty takeoff weight of only 275 kilos. And that means when the light sports, they can only be 600 kilos. I know the rules in the US has changed lately, but yeah, you get a payload of 325 kilos. And then you can carry a lot. But the even cooler thing with this one is that this one actually has a sleeping area. Yeah, it's not like this crammed little thing I'm flying. You actually fold them down and you have a sleeping area. And this is an aluminium built airplane. So yeah, I started looking into all these different airplanes, different ways to build airplanes. Started reading thick books like these ones. You can kind of see how they are when you read them. Tons of charts. You get used to it after a while. It's quite tricky to get into in the beginning, but yeah, you get kind of used to it. And especially this book, I think, is just amazing. The design of the airplane. It's wonderful. Even if you're not that good at math, I think you would get a lot from reading this one. But back to the story. Where are we? I want to show. So what I would like to do is that if I could dream of an airplane, if I could do something, like if I could do something to contribute here, and that would be, if I want to spend my time of doing something, I think I want to design an airplane. Not necessarily build one. That takes thousands of hours, like 2,000 to 3,000 hours. You would have to be a team to do that. But I would like to have something like this. But I think if we would do it, I would like to up it one step more. Because this airplane, so what it has is a Rotax 912 or 16, I don't remember, 912 I think, that's 100 horsepower. And it's aluminium built. And it uses a mix of aluminium and foam for its ribs in here, which makes it also really lightweight, almost like a carbon fiber airplane. Not really, but yeah, almost. And there's videos of this one on YouTube if you want to look at it. It looks pretty darn cool when it flies. And as you can see, you could kind of sleep in here. So yeah, that's really, really cool. And what I would like to do is to modify a few things. One thing, it flies a little bit like a brick. When you have a low aspect ratio like this, what you get is something that, when you get to low speed, you have something called induced drag. And induced drag is the drag that comes from lift. And what happens is that these 3D flows under the wing start pushing like this, and you get these wingtip vortices, and they get really, really strong when you have short wings. That's when you have sailplanes, what you get is something really, really efficient. But so why don't we just all use long wings? Well, like I said, you start increasing the weight because long wings means more weight. And also you have to have more structure to hold all things up. And sailplanes are not fast. They're actually super slow because they have all this form drag. So you have basically two types of main types of drag. You have induced drag, which is the lift induced drag. So when you have lift, you get drag from that, and that kind of dominates when you fly slowly. And then when you go really, really fast, the lift induced drag reduces, and then you have the form drag. And there's different types of form drag. But anyways, overall, that's when all these particles are hitting the airplane, it slows it down, and yeah, you have to have more thrust. So what do? Well, you can actually go the other way. Like for here has done with this amazing airplane. You can shorten the airplane so that you don't have so many particles hitting the airplane. And if you have a shorter airplane, you get a lighter airplane. And when you have a lighter airplane, you have to have less structure in the airplane because the loads doesn't become so big. And when you have more space, then you can have more fuel. So yeah, I think this is actually the first or the only transatlantic light sport airplane that exists in the world. This could actually literally fly over the Atlantic, which is pretty darn cool. But there are things that are not that great, like I said. One of the things is that it flies a little bit like a brick. So I think the wingspan is just a tad too small. And one of the reasons, like I said, he's selling his plans, but nobody's, from what I understand, buying them or at least building them. Maybe there is, correct me. I would love to talk with a creator of this airplane, maybe do an interview. That would be amazing. And just listen to, because he is actually a real airplane designer. And of course, that's why he has been able to build this amazing thing. But it flies a little bit like a brick when you're landing. And yeah, one of the big scares I have is engine out. So in many of the airplanes, including mine, there is actually a parachute. So that kind of flies out like a rocket. And yeah, if you have an engine out, it's not like you use the parachute all the time. What happens is mostly, hopefully, you're actually quite far up. Hopefully it doesn't happen during the takeoff, but yeah, hopefully you're up there, and we practice tons and tons on emergency landings. These small airplanes, once you get the wheels down, usually they're slow to stop really, really quick, especially if it's like some grass on the ground or something. So you're just looking for some grass and trying to take it down quickly. So as long as you set the wheels down, usually you're actually really safe on a light sport airplane, because the stall speed is slow. Okay, stall speed, I'm just mentioning so many things. For you who are new to this, this is like a totally different landscape. But stall speed is if you think about why does an airplane fly? Well, it has thrust and it has these airfoils. And when you get the air hitting the wings, what happens is that you get like a low pressure and high pressure under here. Yeah, there's two different main explanations, but yeah, this is called Bernoulli's principle, and then you create lift. And on engine out, what happens is that, yeah, this dies, and you can still kind of glide downwards. And for example, I think my airplane, if I remember right, has a glide ratio of 12:1. So if I'm up 1,000 meters, I will fly 12,000 meters before I hit the ground, if I aim for the optimal speed. So what do we want to do about this one? Well, this one, if I have an engine out, it's actually going to be really steep. We get with these stubby wings, we start descending really fast, almost a little bit like a brick, and I don't really like that. So I think extending the wings would be one thing. The second thing is, like I came back to, he hasn't sold many of these. But then you look at projects like Gazelle 2 here in Europe, and it's really, really popular. It's low cost. what they do is that they switch out this road tax that costs about 25,000 US dollars or more nowadays. Inflation is a bitch. And they buy one of these car engines and they convert them, and for like $1,000 to $2,000, maybe 4,000 in total, they get an engine, which is like 20% of the price of a new one. Of course, it's used, but it could be almost new if it's a crashed car, and they rebuild those. And after that, there's a little bit more service to do, but on the upside, you get incredible range and also high altitude. These road taxis starts getting like, they get so little air, so they start, they don't give so much thrust anymore, so much power, and yeah, that sucks. So the key things I would like to test is I would like to build one of these, but I don't have the money or a wife right now that supports me to build one of these. I mean, I would really like to have one, but it's it would be amazing. Like, if you want to do something like this, go buy one of these, not kits, but the drawings from him, and get the support from him, because it's a tested airplane. It has flown, I don't remember how far, but yeah, it has been flying 2,000 hours, something like that, up in the air. And you have a well-designed airplane. But I am more into the design. How can we take this one step further? So what I want to do is to build this one, but on scale. And if you scale these things down, you can actually learn a lot. So I'm actually going to build an RC plane. That is this one. And that comes back to the CNC I just showed you. And so how we're going to do it? Well, first I had to design it. So let's go into Onshape. I found the drawings for this airplane on kit planes. So I just took the kit planes ones and added it, and tried to use here an Onshape how it would look like. I took the front wheel away because it actually folds up to reduce drag. You can kind of see how here it's folded in and this is folded out. Sorry if my English terminology is not perfect. I'm learning this in Swedish. But yeah, we can, let's take those away. There we go. So doesn't this look immensely sleek, like incredibly cool? So yeah, luckily I learned more than a little CAD over the years now while doing all my projects. And I also have 3D printed airplanes before, so I'm quite familiar with that. And if we want to build a prototype that flies like the D2, this one, what happens is that if you build a too small RC airplane, the way an airplane behaves is more like something flying in something really viscous. What I mean with that is you feel like you're flying more like in honey, something that is kind of thick. And when you build something that is big, there's this one single number that will tell you a lot about everything in aerodynamics, and it's the Reynolds number. So when something becomes big enough, the Reynolds number, when you get around 1 million, then it will start behaving like the big airplane. If you're also, like, you can scale down the airplane, but you have to scale up the speed. But you will also get over 1 million turbulent airflow. So you have maybe heard laminar and turbulent airflow, I don't know. But anyways, so what I have to do is that when I scale it to try to learn something about this design or keep it as a baseline before I start doing my own little design on this one, you need to build it big enough. Because if you fly it too small, it just doesn't behave like a big airplane does. So I have to build a 1.2 meter RC airplane. And I have printed bigger than that, so that's not an issue. But I also know that if I take my RC airplane like this and 3D print it, and it's 1.2 meter wingspan, then I know it's gonna go crazy. That would take, I calculated, maybe 200 to 300 hours. So I started thinking, what's easy to print here and what's hell to print here? Well, first, if you 3D print this one, it's gonna be damn heavy. And that's okay, because if you want it to behave more like the normal airplane, it actually has to be. You're not optimizing here for an RC airplane that can be as long up as possible. You can do that, but this is not the challenge I'm into. I'm into how do we design real airplanes, not RC airplanes, things that actually takes people somewhere. And so yeah, if you would just try to make this as light as possible, you wouldn't actually get numbers that look similar to how this airplane would fly either. So ultimately, I'm not after getting ultimate range here. I'm trying to get a baseline of how does this for his D2 design actually behave versus if I do my improvements. So 3D print, yeah, 300 hours. That was just amazing. It's like, oh no, not again. I've done that before. It's a pain. And also you have to sit and glue, and you have failed prints, and you have to buy lightweight PLA. It just takes forever. So I have seen people who did these foam cutters. And I was thinking, what if you just clip this one off and you just use a foam cutter to get the wings, and then you 3D print the fuselage. It's not really, it's more like a flying wing, but yeah, there is kind of a fuselage here if you look here in the center. So that's how I came to this insane little project of building a CNC during my vacation now that is a 4-axis one. Okay, so let's take a look at me when I've built it together with my friend. Okay, so we have foam loaded for the first time, and I don't have a clue if I set this right, but it seems to be cutting through foam. It gets really warm, and it is really warm there for the wire, and we have this beautiful oyster sauce and ketchup holding everything together. So this is the most professional way you can do this. And well, there's only one way to find out. We have Universal G-Code Sender, and we click. Let's see how much we can break this. Ooh. Okay, we increase it a little bit. Ooh. And it was way too little heat.
More heat.
And this is definitely not good to... Gå bort. Andas inte in den där skiten. And our ketchup man is still going strong. And look at what we have. We have an airfoil. It didn't go awesome, as you can probably see at the end there. It was probably not hot enough, the wire, so it kind of lagged and then continued. So it should not be even touching the foam, it should just melt it. But this is a success after several days of working. This is an airfoil. So 3D printing this would be nasty as hell. It would take so much time, but this took like how many seconds? 10, 15 seconds. It went super quick, probably too fast. But yeah, a little bit more weight. Upgraded ketchup to a bigger bottle of ketchup. And yeah, after something weird happened, the Z motor there just refused to work. I think it's the cable or something. But yeah, it's a success, and we're done for tonight. So calling it a success. We have an airfoil. Yay! And a 4-axis CNC cutter. It's another night, and last time we did it, we actually got I actually broke it, so yeah, but it looked kind of okay. It's a little bit jitterish up there, but it went way too fast. And the heat was at 9 volts, I looked at the video, and 3 amps. So what happened was that it went so quick, right? So tonight I have my trusted friend Texas steak sauce and a can of oil, which puts this perfect almost 2 kilo pressure on that nichrome wire. It's looking hot, and what I'm gonna do is that I have increased it to 13 and 4.22 amps, so 13 volts and 4.22. It's increasing, I guess, a little bit because the heat is decreasing the resistance. So maybe we can actually stop that now a little bit. There we go. There we go. And I have it all wired up. And what I'm gonna do here in universal G-code sender I'm using. I have it connected, and I'll actually take it out right now. So let's see what happens. I'm going to put it real slow, like 5%. So it's the same file. I'll just shift it aside, and well, let's see if I burn down the house. Let's click print. Okay, here we see it's going in. It's still going way too fast. Ah, it's too fast. 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 Stop. And we have take two. So what I changed is the F from 2500 to 200, and then it goes really slow, like really, really, really slow. And I also decreased the power a little bit from 13 or 3 amp something to 4 amp something to 3 and 11 volts. So now it should go much smoother. Let's pray. Let's do it. Click. Oh my god. Okay. See? That is slow. And looky there. I probably forgot to zero this one. But that looks amazing. Looks like it's not burning, but just going really, really slow. So I think we can actually increase the voltage a little bit. No, that's too much. Just want it to cut nicely. 9 volts. We can see it cooling, becoming much smaller. Seven volts. Oh, that's too little. Let's do at least 9 volts here. Ooh, okay, 9 volts. Smoking a little bit. I think it should be. There we go. Let's take it out and see. Okay, so here's the wing. You can see looks really nice on the other side, because of course the wire never touched it. It just used consistent heat to get it working. And then on the other side I went cold. You can see kind of these ridges there, and that is when it starts touching. And then I increased again to like 8 or 9. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with 9 something, maybe 10. And then I can measure how big this actually is. So let's try this a few times. You can kind of see black here, that probably where it got too hot. But I think it needs to be a bit hot, and then you need to compensate, I guess, for how much the kerf, or whatever they call it, which is the hole that it cuts. So yeah, still cool. I got an airfoil. A lot of lift in this one. And so incredibly light. It's ridiculous. Yeah, a few grams. Okay, so we have take 3. We have 10.5 volt and 3.7. Let's see what happens. I raised a little bit and zeroed in. I'm not using any end stops. So no 2001s anymore. It's gonna go click. And here we go. I don't have a clue how this is gonna work. Okay. So let's have a look. Looks pretty neat. It's still smoking. I want that smoke away. Yeah, so looks okay. So this damn smoke. Now we're at 4 amps almost. Going real slow. I guess we have things falling down on it. That's why. Yeah. So just gonna let it come out, and I don't think it's gonna cut anything because it's coming there on the cable. We can kind of see. And I don't know if you can see it. There we go. And I'll just dry it off with some paper to make it stop smoking. Yeah, let's see. So we had our little accident here, but it went well. So I was probably cutting way too hot and too slow. And what happened is that the wire becomes so hot that it starts melting thing around it and it starts dripping down on it. That's according to Gemini. Let's see if Gemini is right this time. AI can always be wrong, but yeah, I don't know better. Probably gonna look at RC Key's website also. That's a gold mine. I'll buy his book also, just because he's just such a fantastic guy and helping others building these machines. I, as you can see, have not used his machine. I wanted to design my own. So yeah, this is my own little contraption. Could have probably been better if I read his. Anyways, what happened was that I was pulling down the amps to get down to like 2 point something instead of 3.7, and the wire just smacked off, and my sad little oil canister here went straight to the floor. So luckily that's plastic, so no dangers here. So I think that's everything for tonight, because I don't have more Nicron wire. It actually broke like here, and I don't have more. I've actually ordered 10 meters more, but I guess I have to go and buy some tomorrow. But tomorrow I'm gonna do something else, which is working on my son's boat. So yeah, this is for today. Cheerio!